little bit of an early show today. I'm going to be welcoming a new guest, Mr. Tone Vase, a gentleman who is in such great demand that he's coming off of another podcast right now, and he should be with us in a moment. Have we got you there, Tone?
Wait, I got nobody up. Hold on.
Can you hear me? Let's just make sure I've got my settings set
I'm sure
correctly.
it's I can't hear you. Can you point if you can hear me?
I can hear you,
Thumbs
yes.
up if you can hear me.
Thumbs up to hear you, yes,
So
Tone.
at least that works. Give me a second, because I was literally on Zoom.
Don't worry, we're live. We're live
second.
right now, so we'll let Tone sort out his details there. Of course, everyone realizes today we're going to be talking about Steemit.
Oh, gotcha. It was my end.
Can you hear me, Tone?
I can.
Very good. Okay, so let me just get you set up with a screen share so you can see what I'm looking at. You should see the Crowdsource the Truth Twitter page right now.
Have you tweeted this out, or should I make my own tweet, or you have tweeted this out and tagged me that I can retweet?
I don't know if I've tagged you. I apologize, Tone, but just so
okay.
you know, we're live right now, and I'd be delighted for you to tweet this. I'm very pleased to introduce to the Crowdsource community Mr. Tone Vase. And Tone, as I understand it, you're an investor, you're a cryptocurrency expert, you're a blogger, and you've been a very outspoken critic of Steemit.
Yes, correct. Well, I didn't even know we went live. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thanks for joining me today.
I've been one of the biggest critics of Steemit in the world, but I was that so long ago that people don't even remember.
Right. And the reason why I contacted you is that I am vying for your position as the most vocal Steemit critic in the world. And I actually found you, Tone, because I began to suspect that there may be some nefarious activities surrounding Steemit because of factors that are totally different than the factors that you've evaluated. And this is the primary reason why I was interested in having you on the show as a guest. We've seen a lot of cryptocurrency channels and YouTubers that are just promoting them. Cryptocurrency is the future, buy Ethereum, buy Bitcoin, Steemit, whatever. But what I try to do, I'm quite ignorant of the intricacies of cryptocurrency and even investing. So I try to bring on experts like yourself to explain to our audience what is good about particular cryptos, what they should watch out for. And there's a lot of gotchas all over Steemit. Now, you've provided me with a great document from your website, and I should remind everyone that they can follow Tone on Twitter. He is just at Tone Vase. So if you're interested in seeing his tweets and updates about cryptocurrency, derivatives trading, and everything having to do with economics, finance, blockchain, and Bitcoin, you should be following Tone Vase right there on Twitter. And of course, he's got his own website, which is libertylifetrail.com. And Tone is frequently blogging and creating video blogs about a lot of things that everybody's interested in. So, Tone, you initially were investigating in 2016, correct?
I'm sorry, say that question again?
You were initially investigating Steemit in 2016 when they published a white paper about the mining and the software underpinnings of it.
Yeah, so I actually remember the exact day Steemit came on my radar. I had just gotten back from a long trip overseas, and I remember where I was. I was at Lake George. I usually go there every summer with like my college friends, and we were doing a podcast. I was doing it by the pool, and that was the first time I heard of Steemit. And the moment I heard of it, and I said, this is completely ridiculous, and I was very critical. And then people, I mean, their followers, this was in July. I can even tell you, like, the date off the top of my head will be around July 10th. It would have been the weekend after the 4th of July holiday, whichever weekend that was. The first time it ever came on my radar, I knew almost nothing, but from like the, I guess, one little article of a few paragraphs that I read, I was very critical. I got so much hate mail that I knew I was onto something. So I immediately looked into it further, and the more I looked into it, the worse it got. I continued to debate people about Steemit, continued to expose all of the scams inside Steemit between July, and that was the last thing that I published. That what you're looking at on my website. I mean, I haven't really been publishing new content. I've just been doing videos on my YouTube channel, so my website is going to be a little stale, but I do make videos every day. So the last thing that I think I published was this article back in October. There might have been one more video, AMA, Ask Me Anything About Steemit, that followed that, but after that, I walked away from scam busting Steemit because I felt that I've done everything that I could say, and there was nothing that could be done for them to change all the scamminess that went on of launching the project. I mean, it doesn't matter what they do going forward. It was a scam from day one.
Right. So basically everything that's going to come out of Steemit, in your view, is a scam. And of course,
Absolutely.
People who want to go back and review Tone's videos should be subscribing to the Tone Vase YouTube channel. And of course, Tone is blogging about all kinds of things having to do with Bitcoin. I've seen him debate other cryptocurrency bloggers and even the founders of Steemit, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I didn't like the way that went down. Which is why I no longer, which is why I'm a little careful about which mediums I go to. I don't really want to debate scammers. I don't. I would rather talk about the scam with someone like yourself or another expert. Occasionally I debate people that believe in that project in order to change their mind, or more importantly, change the mind of their audience. Because if someone is a big Steemit believer and has a big audience, that's the person I want to debate, so that his audience, so I kind of almost take their audience by exposing that the person they're following doesn't actually know anything about the project they are promoting.
Right.
So that's the kind of thing I like to do. I don't like to actually debate the people making the scam for multiple reasons. One of them is because they are worshipped like gods by their followers, because they're making money for their followers, even if it's Ponzi money.
Right.
The other thing is, I think that I was a lot harsher to a lot of these projects, and it's a little risky, as probably you've learned yourself, what happens when you try to go after something like this that has a lot of money and a lot of resources. And if you go after, someone with hundreds of millions of dollars, not only can your content channels be abused and spammed, there is a chance you can put yourself in actual physical jeopardy. I remember I didn't really consider it back in the day, but I was working on Wall Street throughout 2008. And then after it all went down and Bernie Madoff's hedge funds went under, that whole scandal of the Bernie Madoff funds, there was a guy that was interviewed after Bernie Madoff had gone to jail, and he said he has been following Bernie Madoff and all of his scams for 10 years and was anonymously warning the SEC. And they probably didn't take him seriously because he was doing it anonymously. But he said the reason he was doing it anonymously is because he felt that if Bernie Sanders found out, Bernie Madoff found out, again, my Bernie's confused. If Bernie Madoff had found out that it was him, he felt that he could have been assassinated or something like that. So he didn't want to take a chance.
Sure. And I mean, obviously that makes sense to anyone. I just want to clarify for our audience, Tone. Now, have you and I ever met in person?
We have not that I know of, but I've been meeting a lot of people. And
have we ever spoken on the phone or through any mechanism before right now?
No. First time you texted me yesterday, you went through my manager. We scheduled this interview, and yesterday when you texted me, I actually had to check my calendar because I actually didn't know that I had this interview today. So no, we literally have just communicated for the first time about 12 hours ago.
Right. And I just wanted to clarify that for everyone because I have not prompted you in any way. You and I have no direct financial benefit from sharing any of the problems that we see with Steemit. I can explain why I'm doing it. I'm getting a good idea for why you chose to do it in 2016. And of course, the reason I contacted you is that you identified a number of aspects that are beyond the scope of my experience, understanding, etc. I have never worked on Wall Street. I have very limited experience with cryptocurrency, but I'm from New York and I've got a nose for bullshit. And there was a lot of it surrounding this. I was initially contacted months ago by an individual named Frank Bacon, who approached me as an adversary of an individual named Robert David Steele, who has initiated a $15,350,000 defamation lawsuit against me because I have shown evidence that Robert David Steele is engaged in felony charity fraud. And this is evidence that I got from the IRS, from the New York State Bureau of Charities, so we can extrapolate a pretty good understanding as to why Robert David Steele would want to put this financial burden and this logistical hurdle in front of me, so I'll stop reporting on the financial crimes that he's engaging in, that evidence indicates that he's engaging in, and be distracted by this lawsuit. Now, this Frank Bacon person is quite active on Steemit. As a matter of fact, he has been participating in a concerted effort to make it impossible for Crowdsource the Truth to gain any traction on Steemit. Now, I've been on there for quite some time. I only have 92 followers. I only have this 12 in parentheses, I think somehow represents the level of power that I have on this platform. It's very confusing for me to understand as a user who has no problem with Facebook, no problem with Reddit, Twitter. It's difficult for me to understand how this social media network works, but you can see these videos about the FISA memo, about General Flynn. Sunday with Charles, of course, goes in great depth about the financial crimes of the Clinton Foundation. Carolyn Dare and Harmon Wilfred talk about how the deep state has suppressed Harmon's efforts to reveal crimes. Of course, Ole Damigard, one of the best known researchers in the world of conspiracies. Tone, I'm sure you can see that each of these videos have $0 associated with them. Can you see that?
It's very hard to come on to Steemit and make any money from these articles unless you are heavily connected. I believe Steemit is one of the most centralized content websites there is, where a handful of people, maybe 30 people, decide if your content is actually visible to the majority of the people. And the more visible your content, the more money it obviously makes. But we can probably talk about that throughout this interview.
Yes, and that's very interesting because what I've just clicked on is a video that has become invisible due to low ratings. Now, of course, someone can seek that out and actively click on Show Me This Content. This is a video that I posted about a very popular YouTuber, really nice guy, named Charles Walton. Charles has been exposing false flags and various operations that the mainstream media doesn't like to cover. He is a truther, as people would say. He was recently banned from YouTube. He had a channel for 10 years, and out of nowhere, he got banned. And the people that submitted the complaints against his channel did so anonymously. Charles is denied his constitutional right to face his accusers. He's not even told exactly what he did. Now, this video is no longer visible because this individual, Frank Bacon, who initially called me to promote Steemit, but when I was not agreeable to what he wanted me to do, called me back and in an expletive-laden, threat-filled phone call informed me that I was interfering with a plan that he and many people had been working on for, I believe he said, 9 years, which would coincide with the advent of Bitcoin, possibly the germ of this idea. I don't know if he was talking about Steemit, but he was certainly upset, and he admits that he's flagging this post not because he objects to the content, but simply in retaliation for a flag that I had initiated the previous month. Now, Tone, I was flagging content that these individuals had spread around the internet promoting their false ongoing campaign in which they're trying to convince the internet that, among other things, they say I'm a Mossad agent. Now, I detect that you have an accent. Can I ask where you're from?
Sure. I'm a Russian American.
There we go. So now I'll be accused of Russian collusion, but you seem like a fine guy to me. These guys have been spreading slanderous content about me, in part on Steemit, which, as I understand it, is a somewhat indelible digital mark. So they're purposely trying to damage me, and I'm downvoting that content because I don't like slanderous comments about me that are untrue, and here they're retaliating. So before you and I began this interview, and I'm sorry to be monopolizing, but I want to give you all this information because we haven't spoken before, I had a conversation with someone who contacted me because I've been very vocal, like you, about my dissatisfaction with some of the aspects of Steemit. And this person named Blair, who contacted me, is a witness. And he told me that in order for something to be verified in the blockchain that runs Steemit, there needs to be agreement among 14 witnesses. Now, this seemed like a very low number to me. Do you know anything about that?
I know a little bit about that. Like, to me, Steemit is not a blockchain to begin with. So the whole concept of this is kind of irrelevant because by my definition of what a blockchain is, you need something called proof of work. Speaking of proof of work, normally, like, I know your audience potentially has never seen me before. Normally, I'm in my New York City apartment or traveling. The reason why I'm in the middle of the woods out in Pennsylvania with more snow than Ukraine, where I just flew in from yesterday, is because I'm here setting up a Bitcoin miner, which I'm holding in my hand. And I have the old one running right there behind me. I only run one miner. Wait, where is it? There it is. I only run one miner, so that's why I'm here. So to me, that is a blockchain. It's proof of work that uses a decentralized mining, which I like participating in to help decentralize the network, not even for a profit. Now
let me pause you for a second because some of our audience is not that sophisticated in the operation of blockchain. And the mining, of course, in a nutshell, is a complex computational operation that verifies the transactions on Bitcoin and creates consensus among thousands or millions of other computers. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's the point. It's millions of computers like this. This is a computer. This computer has only one function: solve the math problem. That's it. It has a giant fan, and in order to cool the CPU chip that is doing the number crunching.
Because now, it's doing so much computational work. Correct. It's really complicated.
Correct. Now, this is what a blockchain is because these computations, no one knows who's going to solve the math problem. That's what makes it decentralized with all of these miners around the world. Steemit had this same functionality for the first 30 days of its existence. After the first 30 days, it basically became the more Steemit you had, the more power you have, as opposed to spending money on these kinds of machines. If anyone's wondering, this guy costs over $1,000. And during that first 30 days, no one knew about Steemit. The website didn't even exist. So the only people that were capable of mining Steemit, so you can download the entire PDF right from my website. Which in order to have a little better sharpness and quality, if you just scroll down a little bit, there is a link to the PDF. Right there. Oh, too much. It's right before the first picture. There's a link to the PDF that you can just grab, and then that one. That's the PDF with the screenshots. It'll have better quality. But we'll get to that in a second. So basically, there it is. Steemit had this mining structure that was fair, but it wasn't really fair because nobody knew it existed. And after the first 30 days, basically after that, there were probably 20 or 30 people with the majority of the Steemit, and they now become the masters of this blockchain. So everything goes through 14 people instead of thousands of people all over the world like a real blockchain. So at that point, it is no longer a blockchain. And the document that you're looking at is when I realized what Steemit was, and I started calling it a scam, people objected to that. So I swore that I would take their 44-page document of their white paper, and I would prove that no matter which page you look at, it's a scam. I skipped from, I think, 1 to 5 only because there was nothing on the other pages other than an outline of what the document's about. But I went off on a mission that took me a month to do in order to prove to people that every single page of this 44-page document like screams scam.
Right, right. And of course, you're someone who's concerned about the future of cryptocurrency, so you don't want to see it polluted at these early stages by people who may have bad intentions, I presume.
Not exactly. I wouldn't say that. I would say that I'm a bit more of a purist on what a blockchain is, and I believe in fairness. And I don't believe that scammers should be rewarded with money from the unqualified and unwary public.
Yes.
So it bothers me, and I knew I didn't like the moment I opened this document. You can see that the name Dan Larimer shows up as the first name. The first 2 words after the title were Dan Larimer, Daniel Larimer. The moment I saw Daniel Larimer's name, I was already calling it a scam without knowing it was Daniel Larimer. This could have been the other way around. If someone had told me Daniel Larimer is working on a new project, I would have immediately said, okay, he's about to launch another scam. And the thing is, and then I predicted that right as I was leaving in October, like dealing with this nonsense, I said that Daniel Larimer is going to quit this project and he's going to go and he's going to start another scam. And people laughed at me, and then he left this project about 9 months ago or a year ago, and about 3 or 4 months ago, he launched another project called EOS,
right.
Which is, again, once again, is obviously just another scam.
Let me pause you again.
That long ago.
Let me pause you again, because what is it that you know about Dan Larimer's previous endeavors that lead you to believe that he's a serial scammer? He started BitShares, was one of the things that he started.
Yes.
What was that, and how was it a scam?
Well, BitShares was another project, basically like Ethereum. So BitShares was competing with Ethereum. And Daniel Larimer, if you scroll up to the top page, Daniel Larimer's presence in the space right there goes back a long way. You can see that I quoted something from 2010. Daniel Larimer, if you scroll down a little bit to the Bitcoin Talk posts, where Daniel Larimer questioned something in Satoshi's blockchain, and Satoshi himself told Daniel Larimer that if you still don't understand this, I no longer have the time to explain it to you. So even Satoshi basically considered this person, they didn't consider him very bright. And Satoshi himself basically told him that I no longer have the time to explain to you how this works and what this is. And ever since then, Daniel Larimer has been trying to create proof-of-stake blockchains, which are basically a way to print yourself money for silly ideas. That's what BitShares was, and I think he did something before BitShares. That's what Steemit is, and that's what EOS is as well. Basically, just a way to print yourself money under the pretense of it's good for the public, when in reality it's not. And yeah, so these were all his projects, and I'm not. Let's just say I'm not a fan at all. And neither was Satoshi, let's put it that way.
So what about BitShares is not legitimate? This is bitshares.org, it's still running, it's a decentralized exchange. What does that mean, and how is it not a legitimate service?
I really don't even know what that means, because I don't know what is functioning on top of it. All I know is these things get financed by a speculative token that you, as the creator of the project, simply create, and you convince a bunch of people that these tokens are useful when in reality they are totally not needed. And then the more of these tokens you have, the more tokens you get to earn, kind of like interest that comes out of nowhere in the form of these tokens. And then these tokens get traded all over the world on unregulated exchanges by people that are totally unqualified. And I've had even several communications with people that are like under the age of 18, like there's 12 and 13-year-olds that are trading and speculating on this stuff that basically gets created by one guy. And the more of these tokens you have, the more you make.
Wow.
So I've been against all of these proof of stake projects because it's basically one guy printing himself money. As far as I know, no one is using BitShares, but these tokens are still being speculated upon. And you're printing more for yourself, just like Steemit. Those first 15 to 30 people that mined all of that Steemit the first month before anyone heard of it, these people are now multi-millionaires for doing nothing, for creating this website that prints them monopoly money, and they're convincing the uneducated people that posting articles on this website is somehow righteous, and you can earn this monopoly money, but we get to keep 90% of it. We give 10% to you for posting on our website, and us 14 to 30 people get to control what everybody else gets to see. So as long as we like your content, you get to be at the top of the page.
Right.
It's just like Reddit, but 30 people get to print money for themselves and dish out small chunks. And as long as you post articles that they approve of, and in the beginning, they would approve articles of people talking good about Steemit, or high-profile people, they would upvote their articles to give these people lots of money so that these people would then talk more about Steemit, and these would be the people with a big audience. Like, I could have probably made at least $10 million already off of this stuff. If only the first day I heard about it, I would have been promoting it left and right and posting on there instead of being critical. And in fact, one of the first two debates that I did with people about Steemit, those people posted those debates on Steemit, and one of those debates made that person $35,000 in Steemit.
Steam dollars, not U.S. dollars.
Well, they could have sold those Steam dollars immediately. For 30, if you click on that article, you can see how much money he made, the first one.
Well, this is YouTube here. Let me go back to Steemit and we'll...
Oh, yeah. If you find that article on Steemit, you can see how much money it made. I mean, obviously, Steemit might have gone down in price, gone up in price. I don't really know. But if you search my name on Steemit, there is a lot. There's a lot there. If you do just a search for Tone Vase, you'll see probably at least a dozen Tone Vase accounts on Steemit, and none of them are mine, of course.
Right. So that's a problem too.
If you click on that first one, let's see how much money that made.
So people could be imitating you, posing as you.
Yes.
Where do we see how much money it's made?
Right there at the bottom.
$9,000.
Well, that's in today's valuation of Steemit. At the time, this was a lot more. I remember one of these things making like a lot more money than that, because I've done several debates on Steemit that were streamed through Steemit and posted on Steemit, and I never collected a dime from anything related to Steemit.
Right. So basically these people are using your likeness, using your intellectual property, your research, your video content, and posting it on there, sometimes even posing as you, creating an account with your name, building on your notoriety, your experience in Wall Street as a financial expert, as a blogger, as a cryptocurrency expert, and they're actually earning money through that. You have no recourse. Is there a legal department for Steemit, or is there a technical support department that you can contact and say, hey, someone has stolen my content, take some action?
Well, no, because again, I called out the CEO and the CTO and everyone that created this thing as a scammer. So if I reach out to Steemit for any reason, they're going to spin it as if Tone is now interested in Steemit and promoting it themselves the moment I have any contact with them.
Right, right.
Well,
so,
like they would spin it as a good thing, and I'm not going to waste my own money suing them. Like, what's the point? Right. I mean, and they have way more money than me, right? I mean, remember, the creators of this thing are worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, because they are literally printing themselves money and convincing the public that their money is valuable. It's basically you're paying people in your own money of your website.
But they have a mechanism for converting that Steem money into actual U.S. dollars, which gives them power in the real world, conceivably.
Not really. It's all of these anonymous exchanges where people can sell those Steem dollars for Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then they can cash those out. There's nobody on the street that would cash out your Steem dollars, but there's people that are speculating on these Steem dollars, that are buying them from you. So basically, once you get this useless Steem money, you can then sell it to someone that doesn't understand it for Bitcoin, which I believe is actually real money and valuable. And then once you get their Bitcoin, you can then convert that into real dollars or euros or whatever you like, or go to buy products.
Well, and certainly irrespective of your personal beliefs or anyone else's, Bitcoin is a currency that's recognized by a number of different commercial exchanges that will convert it to dollars. So there is a path for this scam Steem currency to go to actual U.S. dollars. And we won't get into the debate of is the petrodollar, is the U.S. dollar a scam, but there are obviously quite a lot of people who accept U.S. dollars as legal tender. And so by having this mechanism to get from Steem dollars to U.S. dollars, it is a way that the creators of Steem can generate a currency for themselves that they could utilize to, for example, and I'm not suggesting that they do this, but it's conceivable that someone with millions of U.S. dollars could hire people or pay people to do things like come to this particular Periscope, which I'm seeing more viewers on this Periscope stream than I have ever had on a Periscope stream before, a lot of which seem to think I'm with Mossad. Haven't presented any evidence, but they keep saying that. So these are the types of indicators that I've seen, Tone. There's been a crew of individuals who generally support anonymous activity online. They enjoy posting things under anonymous names, disparaging information, articles about me that are completely false, that are intended to damage my reputation and my business. We see examples right here on Steemit of them deliberately saying that they intend to damage my ability to earn money in this social media network that they have in part advertised as an impartial forum where people can, without censorship, share their information. And clearly that's not true. They have quite a lot of ability to censor material on here that they don't like. And the people who are like you being maligned, and you know, here we can see all these articles that have no basis in fact, which then other individuals are taking. And now here's someone that people who are familiar with Crowdsource the Truth will know about. This is someone I had a little conversation with the FBI about last night. Actually, it was a lengthy conversation, Tone. I spoke to the FBI for 3 hours about what I perceive as a now approximately 9-month concentrated harassment effort. Now notice the CIA source is Deep Throat, confirmed by this guy, Frank Bacon. So it's quite clear that Manuel Chavez, who goes by Defango, is working directly with Frank Bacon to confirm his false information, which he claims I'm on the payroll of an admitted Mossad operative and that I'm being paid $3,500 or $2,700 a week. This is totally false, Tone. And as a matter of fact, another person who has zero credibility by the name of Robert David Steele has repeated this information in what I believe represents a small part of a conspiracy of individuals who are deliberately sharing false information to stop me from doing exactly what I'm doing, which is interviewing experts like yourself who have forensic evidence, financial investigations of their operation, an understanding of the software that runs this, and we'll get into the mining of Steem and how that's problematic. But the more I've spoken about this and other things that I believe these individuals are all involved with, the harder they've come at me. And the attacks on my YouTube channel, Crowdsource the Truth, has received multiple strikes that prevent us from live streaming. Right now, we're live streaming this interview on the 21st Century 3D YouTube channel, which is my previous endeavor, a company that I also own. But they're trying to stop me from getting this word out, and they are using per se libel, which is of course just a civil tort, not a criminal act. But I do believe that by operating in coordination with a large group, and by consistently doing things like releasing my mother's telephone number on the internet and instructing people to call her and harass her, I do believe that these individuals are engaged in criminal harassment. And by utilizing these techniques to earn this cryptocurrency Steem, which has a value as US dollars, I believe that this is a financial crime of some sort. I'm obviously not involved with law enforcement. This is only $10.56, but you know, we can see that these people are involved in upvoting. They're working together. I suspect that each of these individuals control multiple accounts with alternative names so that one person can control more than one account to further game this system where they have influence over what gets published and what earns money. Talk to us a little bit, Tone, about how the mining works here and why you think this is a scam.
Oh, there is no mining here, and that's the point. Basically, these people are literally printing themselves money for having money, and then they're distributing the access to these people, convincing them that this is where they want to post. And the more influential the person, influential in a way that this small group of people approve of, the more money they will give to that person. Like they're printing like 80-90% of the money for themselves, and then the small group of, I mean, like it's a distributed model. So the top 10 people are probably making 50% of all the new printed money. Then the next 20 people will make the next 20% or so of the printed money. And then like down the line, so that the first, let's say 50 people or so are printing themselves like 90% of the money. And then they can distribute the rest of the money based on which content they want to promote. And if someone joins that is saying exactly what they want to hear, they will promote that content, making that person rich with the access capital. And this is a dangerous game. This is one of the reasons why I stopped scam busting Steemit, and why I actually considered not even doing this interview, because I don't want to put myself in the position that you are now in, with these people having tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and you and I are jeopardizing their golden goose of printing their own money, and they will do anything in their power to stop us.
Tone, I appreciate you saying that.
And these are the people that are going out there and building an audience by saying that the government are the conspiracists, and the government is printing themselves money only to, take the people down, where these people are 10 times worse than the ones they talk about in the government.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, Obviously, there are problems. There is corruption within the United States government and other governments, and we'd like to root that out. I personally don't think we should throw away the baby with the bathwater and destroy what we have. I think we need to root out the corruption and deal with it. And I appreciate your bravery in coming and doing this interview with me, because everything that you've said is absolutely correct. I received a death threat just on Monday from a gentleman named Douglas Gabriel, who runs an organization called American Intelligence Media. And he actually interviewed this individual, DeFango, guy by the name of Manuel Chavez, who I have reason to believe.
But by the way, I just want to say that all of the names you're mentioning, like from Bacon to, I've never heard of any of these names before. Right. This is not my area of expertise, nor going after government conspiracies or these channels. So all of these names are totally new and foreign to me.
And I also would state to our audience and anyone who sees this that my opinions are my own, and I certainly don't mean to impart those opinions on Tone Vays. He also speaks as an independent individual with his own opinions and his own statements. And I applaud your bravery, Tone, because I think you're absolutely right. There are a number of individuals who stand to earn or lose millions of dollars over this Steemit thing. And if what I'm saying is correct, these individuals could be facing criminal prosecution. Now, the fact that Douglas Gabriel thought it was a good idea to make threats on my life, he tried to remove himself from those direct threats, saying there are other people who are instructing him to destroy me. I don't know who those other people are, but he is confirming a conspiracy. I don't know if you've heard of Quinn Michaels, but I'll be speaking with him later today. He's an artificial intelligence and software expert who's spoken quite a lot about cryptocurrency conspiracies, which I do believe is what we're looking at right here. People are putting nonsense into the comments saying that I lied, and the death threats are in the man's own voice and they're in the recording. So this Washa Bionics, whatever the guy's name is, can say whatever he wants. It's just very interesting to me, Tone, and I'm glad that you said that you don't know any of these people, because you certainly are not accusing them of anything. I am pointing to the activities that these individuals have engaged in and showing them as evidence to support the conclusions that I am drawing and the accusations that I'm making. If they feel that the things that I'm saying are not true and they want to sue me, they're certainly free to bring action against me. I'll be delighted to share my information with law enforcement authorities about what I perceive as crimes that these guys are engaged in. And furthermore, the reason I wanted you and I to speak together in this conversation is that all of your evidence that indicates that Steemit may be a cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme and a scam is totally independent of the evidence that I have. Because I also feel like, in addition to attacking me personally and attacking my online entities, I believe these individuals have stoked the so-called YouTube purge. I believe they have the ability to use these anonymous YouTube accounts and even possibly artificial intelligence-driven YouTube accounts to initiate multiple strikes on YouTube channels. And in the case of someone like Charles Walton, not necessarily specifically Charles Walton, if they could bring down a large number of these YouTube channels that are seen as truther channels, patriot channels, people that are fighting corruption, and create this astroturf false grassroots movement towards Steemit. I've seen them do a number of interviews with people like Jake Morphonios, Field McConnell, people who they're trying to convince to go over to Steemit to build their platform, to build enthusiasm for their platform, and of course they would presume that that'll build value in the currency.
Well, right, because not only that, it will also allow them to print more money for themselves, right? Because the more people join the platform, the more likely it is that these people will believe that the money that Steemit is printing will become the world's reserve currency. Basically, And it is exactly like a Ponzi scheme in that the earlier you joined Steemit and the more your reputation, the more money gets printed to you. And if you've been there long enough, it's even to your advantage to bring on people that are more popular than yourself, even though these people will be able to print more money for themselves eventually as they become more popular with a bigger reputation over time. But that would also bring in more people to Steemit, and it will be easier to sell the Steemit currency around the world. So they are basically creating this new world currency themselves by having the most censored website for content the world has ever seen, because about 15 to 30 people control what is seen and what is unseen. Right. As they print themselves money in the form of an application token, which is not needed for these things, it's really bad. And this is why they want to go, and they focus on the conspiracy theorist people because they're the easiest people to convince that mediums like Facebook and YouTube and Google and Twitter are bad. Basically, they're trying to convince you that they're bad and they're just taking your money, when in reality, these are publicly traded companies. You can buy their stock, and you are a part owner in a way. You participate in all of the profits in that company by buying the stock of that company. Everyone that said Facebook is just stealing from you, all they had to do was buy Facebook like 3 to 4 months after it IPO'd at $20 a share. Granted, Facebook has had a bit of an issue lately with their stock, but it made it all the way to $200. Like it's complete 1984. I don't like the fact that, look, I don't like it as much as anyone that Facebook has a back door to the government, right? Like the government has access to Facebook servers. That's the problem that we need to fix. We got to get it through the management of these big companies like Google and Apple and Microsoft and Facebook and Twitter, that user privacy is important. But they're trying to convince the public that these public companies are censoring your content because of some giant agenda, and and these are the people they want to push onto their website. At least it's a good thing that the number of these people is fairly limited. But again, like they feed the conspiracy theorists, which is why that's the majority of the people that are on there.
Right. Yeah, well, and that's who they're trying to appeal to. Obviously, it's kind of an upstart, underground movement. You said a bunch of important things right there that I want to build on a bit. I think there are, in fact, some serious problems with Facebook and YouTube, but these are developing platforms, and as you said, they have management structures of known individuals. They are publicly traded companies that are regulated by the laws and SEC regulations, etc. You can contact the legal department of YouTube, which I've done, and you can raise legal issues with them, and they are bound to adhere to the law. And I am hopeful that YouTube can be made to modify some of their policies so that in the future, when users get strikes on their channel, there can be hopefully more transparency and a better understanding of how that mechanism works and how you can deal with it, and basically, hold YouTube to having to, have a better system there. Now, DTube is an application, as I understand it, that runs on the Steemit blockchain, and it's become sort of the default video hosting and playback mechanism for Steemit. I don't know if you have a lot of experience with specifically the DTube section of Steemit, but I want to try to show people what happens when I personally interact with it. It's quite strange. Because I've been able to upload about 7 videos to here. I had some problems for sure in the beginning. Now, when I just drop a video on here, it's going to start uploading, and I hope this doesn't affect our live stream. But the problem that I've encountered, Tone, over the past several weeks is that I have been totally unable to upload videos. I am unable to complete an upload of any new videos to DTube.
I'm completely not surprised because, like I said, Steemit, as much as people scream around the net how it's a decentralized blockchain for content, it is probably the most censored site on the internet. So there is absolutely nothing that is stopping the administrators of Steemit from flagging your username and flagging your content to prevent it from posting. This is not how a real blockchain works. They're completely lying to everyone by telling people
Special
this is
broadcast
a blockchain.
right now.
Again, I'm not surprised one bit. And all they have to do, if they have some whale on there with a lot of Steemit, this whale can have a direct line to the CEO of Steemit, which is just another company.
Ned Scott.
That whale can even be totally anonymous, and he can just tell them, hey, I hold 20% of Steemit. You're gonna have to do what I say and make sure this guy's content doesn't go up. I mean, I'm not saying this is happening, but there is absolutely nothing technologically that can prevent it from happening, is what I'm saying.
Right, and of course...
And that's not what a blockchain is supposed to be.
Well, it's also not what a censor-resistant social media platform is supposed to be, and it's also not what they're advertising to the people who they're trying to get involved with it. And it is quite clearly a marketplace. Money can be earned there. And I would also add that they might be able to make some kind of argument for what they're doing with regard to my content. That is, if they are doing this. We're speculating. They may be doing this. We don't have definitive proof that they're doing this. But of course, I have been experiencing this, and it seems quite clear that other users are able to upload. It's conceivable that they might even be watching right now and could allow this video to go to sort of show that I'm incorrect. But this particular video is a video from a crowdsourcer named Fireman John, who runs a channel called the Trafficking Report, the Traffic Report. And basically, he is dedicated to stamping out human trafficking and child sex abuse. And I think this is something that most reasonable people would be in favor of. So the fact that this type of video would be blocked, this isn't bullying, it isn't harassing, it hasn't been blocked from YouTube or Facebook or Periscope or anything like that, but this is among the types of video content that I've been trying to upload that has met with no success. Now, it will be interesting to see if this is allowed to upload right now. What typically happens is it gets finished with this, there's some encoding, some transcoding, some things that happen, and then I just get a message that says unknown error, unable to complete the upload. So we'll see how that proceeds. Now, I did mention, Tone, before you and I spoke just earlier this morning, I had a phone call with someone who is a witness, which is, can you explain that term to us? What's a witness on a blockchain?
Again, on a blockchain, there is no such concept as a witness. This is more of, I guess, the complexity and the obscurity that Steemit and every project that Larimer is involved in puts in order for people that don't understand what's going on to think that these guys are somehow smart and they've done something innovative. And then what happens, they make their project so complex that even someone like me that has been in the blockchain space since early 2013 and paying attention to it before that, someone like me that makes Bitcoin related and blockchain content every day for years now, I am completely confused on what the hell is going on under the hood with Steemit. And they spin it as if I am incompetent and I don't understand what's going on. When in reality, they just, I see the error, by the way.
Yes.
When in reality, they're adding features that are just not needed and don't belong there. And then they make fun of someone like me that is telling them that this is nonsense. But they're saying, well, he's not an engineer, he doesn't understand. They're trying to convince me that all this stuff is important when in reality it's absolutely not.
Right.
So I'm not sure what, to be honest, if you asked me back in 2016 what's a witness, I would have probably been able to, I'm pretty sure I would have been able to answer you, and I'm pretty sure I break it down in that 44-page document. But off the top of my head now, I don't remember, because this has never, this does not exist outside of Dan Larimer's projects.
Right. So some of the comments are saying that this is growing pains and that it'll eventually work and it'll take over YouTube. I mean, in concept, the notion of a decentralized video service is a decent one. But the thing that I'm questioning is, how do the economics and technology of this one work? And how do they explain that I was able to upload 7 videos with no problem, but then the more vocal I've become about what seem like obvious problems to me and you with this network, now I'm suddenly, over the course of many days and weeks, not able to upload even a single video. I find it odd.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd. I mean, again, I don't want to speculate too much. I just want to inform people that there is nothing decentralized about this platform. Now, of course, it's possible that these could just be technical issues. That is absolutely possible.
Yes.
That these could be technical issues. But people that believe that this has any kind of decentralization in it, these people have been completely lied to. And in reality, a decentralized video upload platform, maybe it's possible it will happen in the future. I am very, very skeptical, because it is insanely complicated, and there's no such thing as decentralized content. Someone is holding that content.
Right.
Bitcoin is doing a pretty damn good job of decentralizing the transactions. But these transactions are 1 megabyte in size.
Right.
Every 10 minutes. I mean,
Right.
the video that you were just trying to upload is probably close to a gig of data.
Well, I selected one of the smallest ones I had. It was 600 megabytes, but you're right.
Correct.
And the concept of a decentralized video service would mean, like with Napster, you know, when you would, back in the 90s or the early 2000s, download that Napster peer-to-peer client, it would say, hey, where have you got all of your MP3 files on your computer? And when I log on to Napster, all of my MP3 files, my computer becomes both a client and a server on that network. So in order for this to actually be a decentralized network, it would seem to me that everyone, or a large portion of the people participating in utilizing the service, would have to also be hosting video, and it would become very dependent on the speed of your connection, the storage on your computer.
Yeah, I mean, I am not really qualified to talk about the future possibility of a decentralized video data storage. And while the people at Steemit will say that they are, I guarantee you that they're not, because the only the only focus of anyone near the top of the ladder at Steemit is to just print themselves money that they feel will become the world currency. And
is that stated in their purpose, to make Steemit the reserve currency of the world?
No, but no, of course not. That would be actually being honest. It doesn't have to be the reserve currency. It has to be a recognized currency, right? Because that's what happens when you print yourself money. Right. You want that money to be recognized. If it happens, I mean, I think that's bad, because you already see the kind of people that are running this thing and what they're doing to you for being critical.
Right. And Tone, I appreciate you sharing your time with us, so I'll try to wrap this up. I want to ask you one more final question. So we've discussed a lot of topics right now that seem quite like certain aspects of this have been misrepresented to the general public. Now, is there anyone actually buying into this, giving actual US dollars or other legitimate currency to be involved somehow in Steemit?
Well, someone has to be buying it, right? Because if you look at the market cap, I don't know what the current market cap of Steemit is. I'm going to look it up right now. And again, they overcomplicated their thing because there's three different types of Steem tokens. There is the Steem dollars, there is the other Steem. So right now, one Steem token is worth $1.73. And then there's also Steem dollar. I don't know what. The Steem dollars are in their paper. It says that the Steem dollars should never go beyond, let's say, a few cents above and below $1, when in reality it swings in every possible direction. So they have the Steem dollars, they have the Steem tokens, and then they have a third one. It's completely overcomplicated. I remember when I was in university, there was one of my fellow students. I mean, he was older. I mean, I was 18, 19 years old in college, and in one of my programs, there was a 35-year-old guy who was redoing what he wanted to do with his profession. And during exams that required essay type of questions, because we were science majors, you get this like complicated science question, and then he would say there's two ways to answer it. You can dazzle them with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit.
Right.
And the fact that the Steemit paper is 44 pages is baffling with bullshit, because Satoshi's paper that gave us Bitcoin was 8 pages, and a lot of it was, like pseudocode and diagrams.
Wow. So the question that I'm getting to is, if the management of Steemit, Ned Scott, for instance, are aware of these things, because it is possible that these are just weaknesses in the system that unrelated parties are exploiting, and he is an honest businessman doing his best to make a legitimate social media network. That's possible. But if, for instance, Ned Scott and Dan Larimer are aware of these things that you and I are describing as scams, rigging, Ponzi schemes, would they be on the hook legally in terms of the SEC, or are you able to speak about that?
Well, again, not a lawyer. Well, Ned Scott has left. Dan Larimer has left this project like 9 months ago, right? So anything that happened since the day that he left, he can claim he's absolutely not involved and not responsible for any of it, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's going to come down to either A, how much money have you made, and B, how many people have you damaged? Right now, the entire market cap of the Steemit token is $440 million.
It's a lot.
So it's a lot, but it's spread out across a bunch of people, with Steemit itself probably holding half of that value. So that doesn't count, because the company itself can't hurt itself. People like Ned Scott and Dan Larimer and some of the other founders holding another large chunk. So we're really talking about $100 million or so dollars worth of this token in the hands of the common people. Now, out of those common people, a majority of it are anonymous people, or the fake accounts of the people early involved. So they're obviously not going to go to the government on themselves. So now what we are left with is, my best estimate is maybe $30-40 million spread out across thousands of people. Which I'm not even sure what lawyer is going to want to take on that class action lawsuit, and if any of those people will want to waste their time and effort going after this thing when at the end. Now, if Steemit grows and actually realizes its dream of becoming the biggest content platform, bigger than Reddit, as big as Facebook, as big as YouTube, like if this thing continues to grow because people just aren't, in my opinion, smart enough to realize what this actually is. And so I consider there's only two types of people on Steemit. Those that aren't bright enough to figure out what it is, and those that fully understand what it is and would like printing themselves money. Now, of
Complicit
course,
with the scam.
there is a small fraction of people like yourself that fully understand what it is, a very small fraction that fully understand what it is, know how bad it is, but are either on there. I had a few friends that were on there. They knew it was a scam, but hey, they needed the money. And if this thing is paying the money, they were immediately selling the money. I think the fraction of those people is very, very small. And the majority of those people had already left. Because the moment you criticize Steemit, you're no longer upvoted and you're no longer making money. And if you continue to be an honest person that is posting there as part of the Bitcoin community, and you have been informed that Steemit is bad, and you continue to post there, then you start to lose credibility. So I would say the amount of people that understand that Steemit's a scam and continue to post there is very, very small. And now you're left with two groups: those that know it's a Ponzi style scam, or those that are just completely oblivious to the situation. So if the number of people that are oblivious to the situation continues to grow, and this project does get to multi-billion-dollar valuations, then the government and the SEC might take notice, and then it will be better for people like you and I, because right now it is way too small to be on any government's radar. Meanwhile, the people at the top of this thing, or even the anonymous people, are earning so much money that they can do an unforeseen amount of damage to people like you and I that do not have those financial resources to defend ourselves, nor the connections to bring this to the authorities.
Wow. It's a scary prospect. I certainly hope that $400 million worth of potentially financial crime would be sufficient to garner the interest of the FBI or some other law enforcement agency, because I personally have no interest in bringing civil action against these individuals. My interest is in seeing justice done by having them all basically be criminally prosecuted for what seems by many counts to be some sort of huge financial crime that also involves harassment and possibly, racketeering. I don't know. I'm also not a lawyer. It's difficult for me to accurately make these kinds of assessments. I really want to thank you for joining me today, Tone. Your information has been very valuable. Your knowledge on this subject is extremely impressive. I want to remind crowdsourced community members that they can follow Tone Vase on Twitter, @ToneVase. And of course, you can subscribe to Tone's YouTube channel to see his video blogs and get more information about cryptocurrency and financial things that Tone is an expert in. Tone, I'll be posting later today the phone call that I had with Blair, who's the witness who was trying to explain to me how you and I are incorrect in our assessments of Steemit, and I think you and the rest of the crowdsourced community might be very interested to hear that phone call. What I'm trying to do is build a body of evidence in the video archives of Crowdsource the Truth, so that the agents that I am now working with at the FBI can have a rich body of material to go through, and they can capitalize on your research and your information in a convenient location so that they don't have to go searching for all of this. I lost your sound there, Tone.
Oh, sorry, I put myself on mute. It's a little loud around me.
Yep.
Can I just ask, what is your communication with the FBI about? Is it over the death threats? Did you reach out to the FBI? Did the FBI reach out to you? Because these people from Steemit accused you of, from what I saw in that article, involved in child pornography and involved with, the radical movements.
The FBI most definitely did not reach out to me, because the FBI is not stupid. The FBI knows that the accusations being made on Steemit and elsewhere are totally baseless. I have never been involved in any of the activity that those posts describe. I contacted the FBI because what they're trying to do to Crowdsource the Truth and to Jason Goodman is essentially a decentralized defamation and harassment campaign where multiple individuals take small actions that accumulate to be a larger movement. So in other words, someone anonymously posts something like this idiot DeFango anonymously posts something that is confirmed by his deep throat CIA source, which is obvious nonsense. And the FBI doesn't take sources like that, but other people on the internet, like perhaps Titus Frost, can then say, oh, well, I didn't say that Jason was Mossad. I was just reporting that someone posted on Steemit or 4chan, some anonymous post that Jason is Mossad. And what they do is they try to build these allegations into something tangible. And there are other people involved. There's an individual named David Swigert who likes to send me warnings from anonymous email accounts pretending to be a lawyer or something. But what happens is these guys put out little bits of false information that other people pick up, and they're trying to, create an AstroTurf movement, manufacture consent. If 200 people are posting, hey, this guy's Mossad, some people will see that, or some people will search the internet for Jason Goodman, and they'll find that information, and it confuses people, it muddies the waters. So basically, after these individuals spent 9 months harassing me online with comments, coming to my house, my apartment building, Tone, on a live stream, showing my address, showing my apartment, and then that same individual imploring people to attack me. This is not cool. Then the other day...
And this is all because you were trying to expose the people that post on Reddit, or that post on Steemit, or because you were trying to expose Steemit itself?
Well, I believe it's because Crowdsource the Truth is dedicated to exposing corruption wherever it might be. And
I know, but is this more geared towards your attack on Steemit itself, the platform, or is this more towards your attack on certain individuals that use Steemit to influence their own opinions of you?
To be clear, I have not attacked anyone. I've posted information.
Bad choice of words.
Yes, I've posted evidence that indicates that certain key people are involved in felonies like charity fraud. Robert David Steele, for instance.
Oh, okay. And then Robert David Steele posts on Steemit, and he has his whole Steemit army behind him.
Let me explain. I do believe he has a collection of losers who could be categorized as a Steemit army or an internet army or a crowd stalking army or whatever you want to call it. But yes, he has publicly and openly stated absolute lies. He has said that in the course of his federal lawsuit against me, he has discovered, through discovery, which is a specific legal process, he claims to have discovered that I am paid by Mossad. Another lie that we see being spread.
No, I'm just curious how you ended up in this whole Steemit mess.
Well, because Robert David Steele's associate Frank Bacon called me up and said he used to work with Robert David Steele and he's involved in Steemit and I should get onto Steemit. And I said, well, gee, how does it make money? And I was very dissatisfied with his explanation. It didn't seem to make logical sense to me. And that was my first clue that it might be a scam, because I find that most people can explain things sensibly when those things make sense. And you see, this channel is very focused on presenting things that are evidence-based, Tone. Robert David Steele is the proprietor of a 501c3 tax-exempt organization called the Earth Intelligence Network, and here's its EIN number. Now, what we can do is we can look on the New York State Bureau of Charities, because Robert David Steele came onto this program and raised about $15,000 for this tax-exempt organization. Now, one little problematic sort of nitty-gritty detail is that just having a 501c3 tax-exempt organization with the EIN number 2082865 516 is not sufficient for soliciting charitable contributions of $250,000 in the state of New York. You also must be registered with the New York State Bureau of Charities. And should you do that solicitation in the state of New York, as Robert David Steele did, without being registered with the New York State Bureau of Charities, well, that is evidence of charity fraud. And as a journalist,
which the government tends to take very seriously.
I hope so. The FBI was certainly interested in hearing about it. And our audience is certainly interested in hearing about it.
And does David post on Steemit? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Robert David Steele does not post on Steemit because, again, this is a decentralized operation. Robert David Steele gets losers like Manuel Chavez who publicly present themselves as being financially destitute, driving around in a crappy Honda Civic and not outwardly displaying any financial worth that would be a sensible person to bring a civil lawsuit with money damages against. He's sort of unsuable, but I'm not interested in suing these guys. I don't want to make my money by suing people who are engaged in criminal activity. I make my money by having people sponsor this channel. And people who value the news that we're bringing, the opinions that we're bringing from experts like yourself, they go on to patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or paypal.me/crowdsourcethetruth, and they make financial sponsorship payments because this is not a 501c3 charity and does not need to be registered with the New York State Bureau of Charities. But Robert David Steele, instead of informing me, because it is possible, Tone, that something about this website is wrong. I don't control the New York State Bureau of Charities. As a journalist, all I can do is research publicly available facts, documents from the IRS, documents from state agencies. So, if I have in some way evaluated this incorrectly, the proper course of action for Stephen S. Biss, Robert David Steele's attorney who has been sanctioned by the Bar Association a number of times for abusing the legal system, the proper course of action for that individual would be to notify me, as I have many of the people who have posted false information about myself, to notify me that somehow the evidence that I have is incorrect, present me with countermanding evidence, and then I would run a retraction. There are multiple journalists who have put forth the false accusation that I am affiliated with Mossad, and I have demanded from those individuals, such as Jake Morphonios, such as Dean Fougere, I've demanded that they present evidence or issue a retraction, and they've refused to do that. So I consider these activities to be part of this decentralized harassment campaign that is designed to damage my business, damage my reputation, and possibly incite the public to do me harm. I appreciate you allowing me to rant there, Tone, and I know you're a busy man. So let people know how they can support your research, where they can find you, and then we'll wrap it up and say goodnight.
Sure. I mean, I pretty much provide free content. I try to kind of support myself as I enjoy being mostly a Bitcoin evangelist. I make daily YouTube videos. Today there'll be 3 or 4 of them. Probably just one of those days, providing all the information about Bitcoin and blockchain. And here's the people are looking at my YouTube channel right now. Please subscribe. Check out the videos if you like. If you like it, stick around. My expertise is trading and investing. So the majority of my content revolves around trading and technical analysis. And I also teach seminars about educating people how to trade. My website has a section that educates people for free on how to trade. And I travel the world mostly and speak at conferences. I try to speak the truth. I try to expose scams in the crypto space. One of the playlists, which your audience might like a lot, if you click on playlists, one of those playlists is called Crypto Scam. It was a podcast that I started, which it's on the right there, Crypto Scam Podcast. Everyone liked it. I wish I had more time to do more videos. But yeah, this is where I try to expose a lot of the scams in the crypto space. But other than that, I'm a former Wall Street guy that really enjoys making content in the crypto space between my YouTube channel and my Twitter. which is also under the name Tone Vase.
I think you're doing a really important service, Tone, because people are interested in digital currency, and as technology advances, we want some sort of decentralized way to verify the authenticity of a currency, but we also want to understand how it works. We want laws to regulate it so that scammers cannot infiltrate and take over and do nefarious things. So I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I wish you a good afternoon. I hope we get a chance to speak again really soon. My guest, everyone, Tone Vase. I will be back at 6:30 p.m. with Quinn Michaels, where we'll talk some more about cryptocurrency, about artificial intelligence, and I will be posting that phone call that I had with Blair, the Steemit witness. Tone, thank you very much. Everybody, thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.